New Final Faction. Let's get into it. New weapons packs for Final Factions Alpha Team 1 have been released at Dollar Tree, so we're going to take a close look at all those today, along with a look at the first issue of the comic book. All these new weapons packs are character specific, meaning they mention one of the characters from the first wave in the name. So this weapons pack is called Blades, and it is made for Shift. But at the same time, they also say pack works with the most Alpha Team characters on them, which may not be the case with most of them, and we'll get into that. So with this Blades pack, we have a variety of silver metallic weapons. On the back, they are the Stinger dual-edged staff, Mikey, a radical set of bladed nunchaku. See what they did there? Double Dragon, a double-edged armor-piercing blade, Shuriken, deadly throwing star, and a blade pack to store things. No, seriously, see what they did there? Mikey, a radical set of nunchaku. You get it, right? Here's the double-edged staff. The Dragon Blade, that's armor-piercing. The nunchucks, which have these pointed ends on them. And this is a plastic chain. It's not metal. So you have to be careful with that so you don't break it. And then we have the Shuriken. Here is the backpack, and it does fit centered on her back, thanks to her hair being sculpted to one side. And credit to the designers at Final Faction, everything does fit in that tiny backpack. Everything clips in snugly. Shift is ready for battle. And notice how she's holding all those accessories and standing upright and spinning without the aid of a figure stand. Next up, we have the Razor Pack, made for the ACRM mech unit. This pack includes Whistler turbines that mount on his shoulders, Zephyr stabilizers, Ion Blast shears, and an E-Flux blaster. And here's the ACRM, kitted out with all his new gear. And except for the parts on the feet, which are kind of molded to go only on the feet, you have some other options with the other pieces. So these blades on his arms can go like that, or clip on the side as they're shown in the picture. You can also put them on his back if you wish. And same deal with the pieces on his shoulders. Honestly, they kind of look a little bit silly sticking up from her shoulders like that. Maybe a better option would be on the back of the shoulder, or even attached right to his back so he can use them to fly. And these are made of a softer plastic. They're not going to break, but you might have to work a little bit to get them in the peg holes. Here's the ACRM with everything attached as it appears in the packaging instructions. With all those pointy edges, it kind of gives him a bit of a Gundam look. Next up is the Assault Pack, made for Ruck. In this pack we have the Hard Hat, shockproof helmet, Angry Hornet, is a SAM missile capable of a serious sting. Arms of Ares, capable of firing 4,000 rounds per minute. And the Rover, all-terrain tank treads that he wears on his feet. Here's our friend Ruck. The helmet fits snugly over his head. These guns just peg in to his forearms. And these are two pieces, so the barrels do spin. That's a nice little touch. I had to put the wheels on his boots and they work like interlocking gears. So in reality, for these to work, you would need a rubber tread over them, but you're not going to get that from a $1.25 toy. So you can just pretend. And these just peg into the bottom of his feet. And then there's the missile, which attaches to his shoulder, and that is detachable, so you can launch it at the enemy. One big thing I noticed with these new weapons packs is the lack of paint is becoming more pronounced. The more detail the weapons packs get, obviously there's not going to be any paint on them because of the price point of the figures. So there's a lot of room for customizing with these new packs. The next pack we have is Cyborg, made for Alpha Team 1's leader, Steadfast. And you can see just from the card, everything is just a very flat, light gray. So again, a lot of these packs can use some paint detailing. The Cyborg pack includes the Condor CBA, a fragmentation protection breastplate, Mark II ion cannon, Exo Thunder, which are the leg supports, Man-O arms, a weapon with interchangeable extensions, plasma coils, RZ clamp, and railgun. The leg pieces for Ruck have a peg in the foot, so the easiest way I find to get these on is to peg in the foot first and then fit the rest of the armor over the leg. The chest piece just slips over his head, and we should be able to put his helmet on that originally came with the figure. We have two guns that peg in on either side of that chest armor, and all these pieces are made from a very soft PVC, so they don't clip together all that well. They just kind of sit in the peg holes, but they will come loose if you try to jostle it a little bit. The last piece he has is this arm weapon that pegs right into the forearm. And there are three different attachments for this weapon. This is the railgun, the hydraulic claw, and I believe this is a plasma weapon. Here's our second weapons pack for Ruck, and this is Rampage. Rampage is a battle-ready exoskeleton that can turn Ruck into a one-man wrecking crew. He's got the Pulverizer exo arms, the Trekker exo legs, the arms of Ares, which fires 4,000 rounds per minute, the Slinger, surface-to-air missile platform with 6 missiles, and an RX-7 ion cell to power the whole thing. I've pegged in the arm and leg parts of the exoskeleton to Ruck. There's just one peg that holds each of these onto his limbs. And this is where using the soft PVC for these pieces becomes really problematic, because these just don't want to stay on. If you try to play with this vigorously, those pieces are just going to fall right off. Again, the soft PVC for these new weapons packs, probably not the best choice. The head and chest piece clips on his back and flips over like so. Here's the backpack piece, and this is the ion cell battery that pegs into there, so you'll want to attach that before you attempt to put the backpack on his back. If you try to manipulate things too much while these armor pieces are on, they're just going to fall off. He has both right and left hand pieces, and these peg into the arms, and they're also held by his actual hands. So there's two ways to connect these. Peg in and then have him hold it. So that gives the arm pieces a little bit more stability. There's also this piece that the package doesn't specifically identify, but this looks like it's made to fit into his left hand. So we can peg that in, have him hold that, and I don't know if this is some sort of a shield or a striking weapon, but that's an option instead of the hand. The last two bits of this armor are this surface-to-air missile launcher, which pegs in there, and this gun that pegs into the other side. And these are both two pieces. They come with separate post pieces that you have to fit into the guns, and then they fit into the side of the armor. When fully assembled, the Rampage armor gives off a very strong Exo Squad vibe. But as you can see, it is also one big mass of plain olive green. So this is definitely one of those packs that is going to need some customization and some added paint to really bring it to life. The last pack we have to look at is Dragonfly, and that's made for steel. That's the flyer of Alpha Team 1. He's the guy that looks like the Falcon. This pack consists of Dragon Eyes, the helmet, Scalar armor, DZ-1 flight pack, Arc Light wings, Dragon fangs, which are the two small missiles that attach to it, and an APC zipper, which is a tail-mounted minigun. The armor piece just clips over his chest. Here's the helmet. That very insect-looking design. And the rest of the pieces all fit onto the backpack in several stages. So first we have this long blue piece, which is the tail with the minigun attached. This is going to peg into his back first. Next we take the two larger wings, peg those in. Now there is a second piece to the backpack, which sort of looks like the Dragonfly's head. There's a large post and two smaller posts. So those fit in the center and then into the two wings. Now we have two more wings to go on top of that. And the final piece, which clips over that. So obviously this was made like this to allow the wings to move, so you have articulation in all the wings. Unfortunately, because this is made from that soft PVC, this does not want to hold together at all. If you were a kid and you were flying this around, the pieces would just come flying off while you were playing with it, and you'd probably just take them all and throw them in a junk drawer or a box somewhere. So what you would need to do is take some glue, like a JB Weld or something like that, and glue the different pieces of the backpack together via the posts that hold the backpack pieces, but not the posts that sit in the wings, because you don't want to lose any wing articulation. That's really the only way this is going to hold together. And on top of the backpack, you have these two small missiles that sort of clip in on either side. Dragonfly is a really nice design for a weapons pack. Just the PVC not fitting together is really frustrating. It could have been probably the best weapons pack they've made, if not for the engineering issues with the material that was used. And if you're familiar with the Valiverse Action Force line, as I know a lot of you are, this does remind you of the Swarm Trooper figure from the Action Force line. The last thing we have to look at today is the first issue of the Final Faction First Impact comic book, which tells the origin story of the mythology. These comics are individually bagged in sealed bags, so kids can't get into them in the store and read them and wreck them. But the bags are not resealable, so if you want to keep one sealed and one to read, you'll have to buy at least two. Inside the front cover, we have a nice visual checklist of almost all the Final Faction releases so far. I do not see the Karn vehicle, the Rumbler, on here, so it's not a complete list, but I think that's the only thing that's missing. We see all the figures in the first and second waves, all the weapons packs, the ATV. They also list the limited edition ATV and scope set that was available at Family Dollar stores. One thing I notice is that the comic is very light on dialogue and text. There's a lot of panels that are just artwork to convey the story, and the other panels have a very limited amount of text in them. This comic really reminds me of the toy tie-in comics that we got in the 80s. It has that sort of retro throwback feel to it. And just like those comics in the 80s, it very quickly introduces you to the conflict, the good guys, the bad guys. It introduces you to all the different characters that you can buy toys of, including everyone's favorite, Churro. And pages like this really remind me of those 80s comics. The style of artwork, the style of coloring. Everything in this story screams retro. They've even included a page of fake ads on the inside back cover. So a lot of love and care went into making this comic and making it feel like an old style comic. So on the back cover we get the next issue preview. So there will be a next issue, number 2, coming out. We don't know when. We also get the credits. So I don't recognize a lot of these names. The only one I do recognize is penciler and inker Chris Marinan. I believe he's done some work for Marvel. But even though I don't recognize these names, these creators did do some good work on this issue. That's it for this round of Final Faction releases. The 6 new weapons packs for Alpha Team 1 and the comic book. I have to say, I really like the designs of these weapon packs, but as I said a few times, the material used is not conducive to the play value of the toys. A lot of these packs just want to fall apart because of the soft material used. They don't clip together and they don't hold together well. But at the end of the day, you're paying $1.25 for the figure and $1.25 for the weapons. So it's not like you're paying $20, $25 or more dollars from Hasbro, Mattel, or Super 7. So it's a little bit easier to swallow quality problems, lack of paint, etc. when you're paying such a bargain price for these compared to anything else on the market these days. So as of right now, we don't have anything new to look forward to beyond these. Final Faction has not announced any new sets on social media. So hopefully after these work into the system and everyone has a chance to get them, maybe they'll start announcing stuff for winter or spring of next year. If they're continuing with the comic book story, who knows, maybe we'll get some new characters, new weapons, maybe even some new vehicles. That'd be nice. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.